I'm Aisha. I'm Jasmine.
And I'm 12.
And we're IJT Productions.
So the next question that we do have is for all you ladies, whoever wants to answer first, do you have any advice for entrepreneurs who want to start a business or are in their businesses, but they're losing hope? Like, what do you do for like motivation purposes to get you going?
I'm gonna
I'll
say,
go. Oh,
as
sorry.
oh, that's
Sorry.
okay. I'm gonna say, as I guess the oldest on the line, and I'm starting out fairly, late in my age, and I'm 56. I ain't ashamed of my age. Um, Never get discouraged. Keep pushing. Understand when one door closed, another one's open. Like I shared earlier, my children kept saying, "Oh, mommy, you need to you need to go into business and you need to sell your teas. You need to sell your teas." But I had to sit still and wait for the right time to sell it. And in that process, when you start feeling discouraged, because I have felt discouraged, like when I first started, I didn't think I was going to be successful. Just keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. You don't know what's going to happen if you stop doing it. So you got to stay consistent. Even in the bad days, you got to stay consistent. You don't let the bad days outweigh what God has in store for you, because you already know the enemy is downstairs and he's looking to block whatever success that God has ordained for you to have in your life. So you got to have keen discernment to know in which directions how to keep forward, not to submit to that discouragement. Be encouraged. Encourage yourself. Read your Bible. Go into prayer. Do meditation. Do self healing processes. Get a buddy. Get a buddy. Get somebody to talk to, and don't just get any type of buddy. Get a buddy that's doing the same thing you're doing. That way you can bounce off one another. So when you feel that stagnation, just keep moving forward and keep pushing and just keep pushing. And it does pass. We have a saying, this too shall pass. It will pass. You will see your success. That's all I got.
Well, thank you. Come on.
I have to agree with her because one thing that we hear a lot from billionaires and multimillionaires that have created more businesses than they've created more businesses than we'll see ever die in our lifetime. And that's the consistent thing that we always hear is like surround yourself with like people, and I can honestly say that at this point in my life I'm really blessed that there isn't really too many friends in my social circle that don't have some type of business of their own going on, and I'm just so proud of that my circle is surrounded by like minds, whether we're in the same industries or we're in different industries, but we all support each other. Like Ish, she models for me and she's one of my best friends, and it's like we have our best friend that is a jewelry designer, and she does so many amazing things. And she also models for me. And it's like, I have to be really, really fortunate and so grateful for them that out of the goodness of their heart, they do this for me. But, no matter what I come out with, they're like literally the first ones in line to be there to support me. And they all have their own things going on. So, my advice to someone starting out is exactly that, to surround yourself with like-minded people. Also to secure funds, first and foremost. It's one thing to be a dreamer and to hold on to your dreams and to go after your dreams, but it's another thing to be realistic about your dreams and, secure the bag before you start to secure the bag. And secure your funds first, secure a line of credit, go around businesses the right way, invest in cash value, life insurance, things like that will secure your assets way after the businesses die, way after you die. so that you are breaking for real generational curses and building generational wealth.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. And am I saying it Joselina? Joselina? Am I saying that right?
Joselina.
Joselina? Okay, sorry.
Joselina. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, you have another supporter over here. Okay, girl. Okay, don't worry, I'll support you. I'm gonna go straight to your store after this.
I feel like it's really interesting because like at least my age group, and I don't know everyone's age on here, but you know those articles you see, and they're really great and they mean well, I think. But you know those articles that are like 30 world changers under 30, or all the things you should be doing in your 20s. And I'm like, I'm literally in my 30s. This is not only not helpful to me, but discouraging. Is it too late? And I feel like for me, like I constantly have to keep defining what success means for me. Because like I'm starting a lot of new things later in my life, which, as you guys know, it's actually pretty rare. A lot of people, they kind of figure out who they are and they get settled into that as they get older. Whereas we're all up in here like, oh, I just started doing this like 10 minutes ago and I'm discouraged. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I feel like there's not, for me at least, I don't find a lot of literature out there. There's guides, but there's not a lot out there that I'm like, that's not even, I love the message, but what about my situation? And so I think one thing that's helped me a lot is making sure that I define what success means to me. Like, what does that mean to me? And then, you know, like, I'm a person that I get discouraged. I remember when I was competing, I just thought, like, I would hear competitors and teammates always talk about, like, I love what I do. I'm living my dream. And I'm like, I had a really bad day. Nobody talks about this. And the first time I ever heard someone just being honest, like, I actually don't like this today, was in a book about a tennis player, Andre Agassi. It was the first time in my career. And I realized, like, I have to give myself permission sometimes. Like, sometimes it's discouraging. And I at least for me, and I think we're all wired differently, but for me, if I'm like, okay, don't be discouraged, and then I'm discouraged, and then I beat myself up. So I think, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh, and I'm a loser because I'm discouraged and I'm supposed to be positive thinking right now. And then I just get in my head, instead of just being like, success doesn't mean that I like what I do every day. That's like, to me, that's not success. To me is like, these are the goals that I had and I was able to accomplish my goals. If success is just, I want to go viral on Instagram, I mean, I don't even know who runs Instagram. How is that success for me, you know? So I think for me personally, and what has helped me and what I would share with people is like figuring out what success looks like for you. Cause then it's like, well, is your business successful? Well, what does that mean to you? Are you just trying to make money? Are you trying to connect? Are you trying to give back? And then also just like accepting where you're at and like giving yourself grace, like giving yourself room to have off days. Like not every day, like I'm learning how to invest. I'm 36 and I'm learning how to invest. And literally one of the apps that I use, it's like these blogs and these articles and these really great investors are like, you got to invest every day. Like, and I'm like, what if I don't one day? Does that mean I'm a loser? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so I think it's important to figure out what success means to you, what a good day means to you. And there's a place where comparison is effective. I think there's a time for that, but especially if you're starting out, or if you're not, or if you've done this before and you've quote failed, and this isn't your first rodeo. I think it's important to give yourself room to make mistakes so that you can like fail upward and not like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like, these aren't things that I've mastered, but these are definitely things that I've really had to keep revisiting in my journey as a business owner.
I agree with you 100%. I think that whole thing that you just said about the 30 and the 30, all those type of lists, Kelsey, I honestly think that that's like smoke and mirrors, because so many of the successful people that we know of right now that have recently died or died like a while ago, they all got their starts in like their 40s and 50s. You know, Vera Wang did not start her empire until she was 46 years old, 45.
Yeah.
You know, Oprah, same thing.
Yeah.
RH Macy had, I don't know how many failed department stores before he hit Macy's. And that happened in his 50s. You know what I mean? So it's like, I honestly think all those lists, I agree with you. They're smoke and mirrors though. That's the media and business moguls that want like young, fresh people, and they just highlight them. But the people that have stood the test of time, that have tested their industries, they didn't make it big until 40, 50 years old.
And the thing is, no one's making catchy headlines and trending it on Twitter like, oh, Vera Wang was in her 40s. Like, no one talks about that. They just talk about the 20-something-year-old Zendaya, who is amazing, wearing the Vera Wang dress. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean. Like, I think there's a place for the articles. And I read the articles because I'm like, oh, this would have been helpful, but I can still use this, you know? But like, I think like just figure out what does success mean for you. Like success for somebody who is into holistic treatments and herbal medicines, that is going to look really different from like somebody else who's like, I sell t-shirts or whatever, you know, like it's gonna. And so yeah, I like agree with you once again. Like those are reminders, those are obvious things, but like nobody reminds you of that every day. All we're reminded of is, oh, everyone fails, and you know, this is what you can do if you're in your 20s, and make sure you do this before you're 35 or whatever age we're older than or whatever, you know. And I think so I feel like these panels and these conversations are so important because you have to remind yourself of those things, right? Mm-hmm. Like I forget those things constantly. Yeah. And there is nobody, especially as a minority, especially as a woman of color, nobody is there to remind you of these things like ever, you know? And so I think just the community that we're all a part of and what we're trying to do, those are things that we're going to have. I think, at least for me, those are things I have to revisit every day, right? And what you shared, like the details that nobody talks about, you know, very important, just so important.
I think too, I'll kind of chime in to piggyback. One thing that I would definitely share is that entrepreneurship is not a linear path. It's very much a dynamic journey, right? So there are these ebbs and flows, and really understanding, kind of in another way to put that, is that it's not always about the fight. Sometimes it's about the finesse, right? There are periods of time where you're going to fight and you're going to press, and there's also periods of time where you have to figure out how to finesse it and move with grace and move through things that will allow you to curb burnout and to give yourself that space, as was mentioned earlier, to be able to pivot if you need to be able to rest if you need to be able to innovate. And I think that sometimes we get so caught on this fight, fast, that we forget to allow space for innovation and forget to allow space for exploration and to learn and to see things from a different perspective. And secondly, what I would say is just vision. I'm such a proponent and just advocate and of a vision. One of my favorite books, The Power of Vision by Dr. Miles Monroe. That for me personally, and you'll hear it in different people's stories, is just not only allows you to understand where you're going, what the goal or what the objective is, but it also keeps you on the path. It keeps you on that journey, and it continues to motivate you and continues to provide guidance because you're constantly looking at where you're going. You may not know all the steps in between, and you might take some twists and turns, but writing that vision down and making it plain and really keeping your eye on that is, what I believe is super important, and what for me has allowed me to really thrive and to really overcome some things in my entrepreneurship journey.
Tiff, I think that's you. Did you have anything about motivation?
Yeah, I mean, just everybody said great things. I came into the same, I realized that I think having that support system was very key for me. I didn't think I would be able to do it without my support system. Like Kelsey mentioned, you read all the articles and you kind of beat yourself up a little bit. But I made it my business to not even, I started in the beginning of my entrepreneur journey, reading those articles. But I told myself, you know what, I'm not reading this junk anymore. Because I felt like it was just like I was tearing myself apart, trying to be able to fit this criteria. And I told myself, Tiffany, if you want to go down a destructive path, then that's the way. Reading those articles is not helpful at all. But yeah, I also too would put I definitely realized not only having that support system help, but speaking to mentors, people, speaking to people who you aspire to be, not just like-minded individuals, but people who you look up to, building those relationships, building those bonds. I would definitely suggest that to any person that is looking to start their entrepreneur journey.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Gean, of course.
I'm sorry. I'm so used to order. What Tiffany just said, just gave me a thought about what I've been doing since I've been in my business. I've been networking with other vendors, seeing how the process has been working for them, piggyback on information from them, their experience to help me. So that's why I say it's so important that you get a network and you get a network that's compatible to what you're doing. And another thing I want to say is it's not a competition. This is not a competition. I realize, I don't know if God, I'm just going to say it and take a risk. I'm not saying I'm going to make millions doing this, but I don't know. However, I'm not going to try to step on the next person to get myself to the next level. So I stay neutral, and it's very important that we stay neutral and grounded in our craft and in our gifts, because just like God gave it to us, God will take it from us. So we got to be mindful of where your gifts come from and how to utilize it to benefit and give God all the glory for what he has blessed you with, because like I said, he can take it from you. So it's very important that we stay neutral and humble in this process of being an entrepreneur, Black minority entrepreneurs. It's not about backbiting. It's not about character assassination. It's about uplifting each other.
Thank you so much for watching. Please share, subscribe, and like, comment. We appreciate you all, and thank you all for watching.